Anyways, Rabbi wanted I should speak about the Seder. So, the Seder is a whole sugya in Masechtas Pesachim. It's not a minig. It's a nice minig. We have a Seder, and it's a whole Arve Pesachim discuss it in great detail, how and when, how the Seder works, and so the first thing I want to bring out, which is extremely important halacha, which the entire Seder is based on one thing: Kisholchu binchu muchar leimoed. Your son is going to ask you, Mu avoda azois. 4 times the Torah mentions it. So the ikar focus on the Seder is on your young children. That's number one. You have guests, and we all have guests, and all get frustrated because the 2-year-old or the 3-year-old has to say. The whole Seder is focused on the young children. That's really what it is. Now, the question is, how old does a child understand? But as soon as a child begins to understand, it's very hard, because I see my own children, own grandchildren. Some children are young, understands things, and sometimes don't. Some takes till they're 6 years old. But if a child understands what it means to be a slave, what it means to give out of cheres, you have to chanach him with the right away. Manishtanu and avuda meyini. You have to explain it to him. And the Shulchan Aruch says a big chiddush. You look it up, you see. He says you have to. There is a chinuch also each part of the Seder. Let's say he understands already. Guad Yisrael, but then he explains to what benching is. You have to explain what halal is. Each part. And the problem is that everyone wants to say Torah, right? The main thing as a child is to see the matzahs. And if you want everyone to say Torah, then you have to. No. They have to eat the matzahs. They have to eat. No. That's what I learned the Rishbam. The Rishbam says, the Rishbam learns Chot from Al HaMatzos. It's a Lushna Gemara. Lushna Gemara, Chot from Al HaMatzos. The Rishbam learns, Chot means you have to hurry up. And I grew up and remember the children falling asleep.
That's a reshape, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying. My mother loves reading out the paragraphs in English, about the Mayinu, and then each one, and I said, Mom, we gotta hurry up. Big argument every year.
Now you could quote me. So anyway, no, that's the truth. The truth is that the children have to see the matzahs, they have to see the murder, they have to see, and according to the Rav, the Shulchan Aruch it's not his, it's based on Magavram, that he elaborates. You have to keep on going. Doesn't go on before the it goes in the Suda after the Suda. What's the biggest raya? The biggest raya to this is the Rishonim all ask why we don't make a gefen or priya gefen on the first cuss.
The first cuss.
Yeah. Right. So the answer that we yoitze with the berchas mazah or the gefen at the end. Oh, the Shulchan Aruch brings down too. That's machlokes. The Rishonim, the Ramban, the Rashba. Wait a minute. It takes from the first cuss to the second cuss more than 72 minutes. So it's after Shir Ichel. You can't bench afterwards anymore. Ichel, you know what Ichel means? It takes at least 72 minutes. The Shir Ichel we're not sure, but a cuss. The Gemara says 72 minutes. So if you run the traditional Seder between the first and the second, it's going to take 2 hours.
But if you're drinking wine all the way through,
no, you're not allowed to drink wine. You're not allowed to drink wine. Second cuss. Yeah, so the first cause and the second cause is when the Goddess said, if it takes more than 72 minutes, you did not make ala gefen priya gefen.
I think at 72 minutes, my mother would be happy. I prefer
Yeah, but 70.
so short, you know, the first cut too quick. Exactly.
That's the maximum. I don't know, you have the 72 minutes is the maximum. It shows that it was much less. Another raya, biggest raya, I'll elaborate a little bit on this soon. But, the Rishonim asked Kasha, there's a machlekes Rishonim, a huge machlekes in the Rishonim, how much you have to eat by karpas. A kazayis, or less than a kazayis. It's a big machlekes Rishonim, a huge machlekes. Many Rishonim, you have to eat a kazayis. And the proof to it is because you wash, and you don't wash only on a kazayis. Because you don't have to wash. For karpas, you wash.
The washing is because it's a wet vegetable or something.
Yeah, but only if it's a kazayis. That's not. It's a big machlekes Rishonim. So anyway, so the Rishonim say where's the bayit in the nefashos on this? By the mother. It's connected to mother. Wait a minute, from karpas to the mother, like you just said, it takes who knows how long. It's clear from the Rishonim that the seder has to be geared for the young children. We don't. Why don't we? Because it's connected to the mother. The mother and the mother gets connected to the suda. But if it's more than 72 minutes, you didn't make a bayit nefashos. You missed the bracha. You eat something, you eat a fruit. You have 72 minutes approximately.
Which just proves that the minute, the same title is
By the meal.
1 hour, 60 minutes.
By the meal.
How to say the story? Why can't the main mitzvah of the Safir, they got the Levin Chavi by the Magi, and 60 minutes an hour?
Yeah, but it takes more. An average family takes more. Look at you.
No, it's a kash, but that doesn't prove that the
No. The Rishonim do say, Kol amar b'sipim Mishayim, says the Rebbein Yerucham, says b'shas meal. Says Mefurish in the Rebbein Yerucham.
How does this develop? It's interesting. All the Shema people, by my Zayda,
Yeah, it doesn't nicht alles was mit getan. Not everything they did was so correct. I know. It's hard to.
So you're saying it's a riot that one?
It's clear. Look, the bottom line is. No, the bottom line is if you have adult children, there's no children, it's not a problem. But if you learn the Shulchan Aruch, you have to focus on the children. And the children are really not interested. And when you came up with the gematria, how old is your youngest? How old is your youngest? I don't know, a 6-year-old you have?
yes.
Sure. A 6-year-old is interested in have a gematria, and the Alshich says, and the Alter Rebbe says.
When I was 6 years old, if I wasn't interested, what would I get?
But the bottom line is, they're not tuned in, and they're not,
But don't want to sit at the table at 11 o'clock anyway.
that's why you have to bribe him. That's another point it says. You have to bribe him. That's the whole, the whole minig is an old minig of the afikoymen. However you do the afikoymen, the parents hide it, or the child was, the child should be at benching. The whole people, this is brought down into the Shoinim, this minig of afikoymen. Stealing afikoymen.
What time is benching? Early?
No, they should be awake and sit through.
How could
Because Reb Kiva says, let me tell you Gemara. Reb Kiva says that you're not allowed to tell anyone to stand up in Medrash ever, besides Erev Pesach. Reb Kiva would get up and tell everyone we have to go home. So Rashi, the Rishbam says, why do we have to go home? To make sure the children go to sleep and nap.
Wow.
Arisha? Rishbam? So Pshat, you don't say.
They didn't clean, they didn't cook. They went home to make the kids go and
That's what the rabbi hears.
It's not like a great little murder.
So on that subject, what is the obligation of all the adults sitting around the table during Magi? I mean, say, is everybody each obligated to say the entire Magi? Or can you appoint a chazan? He says it fast.
So it says clearly in the Shainim, it says, I saw over the Shulchan Aruch before, he says clearly, one person says it. He says clearly that way.
Can you
Everyone,
mumble it quietly? No, you just said one person.
he says one person should say it.
But it's not a tefillah.
It's not a tefillah.
Right, you have to say, so technically.
No, he says one person should say it, the rest should
So
listen.
if the group
That's
like
the Ram.
Daddy's mother, that you have to say it in English if you don't understand the Hebrew, it's clearly.
Yeah, you have to say it in English. Children have to understand it,
You
right?
can't be yotze by saying,
Who says you can't be Yotze in English?
oh no, by mumbling the Hebrew as we're suggesting.
No, one person, however you say it, one person has to say
One
loud.
person's supposed to read, everyone's supposed to listen?
Rizuk darav.
And anybody can be Yetzed.
Yeah, as long as it's an adult.
A cousin or a woman can be
Yeah.
Yetzed.
Man ishtanu yoytze, but the child asking.
So if Danny's mom is reading the,
So there's no reading, everybody's saying the Magi themselves?
It says clearly, if my glasses and my eyes are not focused, one person.
Rabbi, in your Zayda's house, if you all say the Magi, or one person read it?
Everyone had to say a title, but that's tolerated.
That's for sure.
The Shulchan Aruch says one should read it and the rest should listen.
Is that what it says right there?
Go around with it, everyone should read on a piece.
You have to find it. Anyways, so nothing wrong if you all want to say it, but but the focus is the truth is the kids. That is very important. I know it's very annoying, it always was because when my family was big, from the teens to the youngest, and they were very frustrating. But that's what it has to be geared at. It has to be geared to that the children should see the matzah, they should see the mother, and they should see as much as it's possible. They should see.
So the mitzvah of retelling Tzias Mitzrayim, that's it. You're saying it should be shifted to Shulchan Aruch essentially. Why can't it be done that?
I'm saying you have to make sure that that the children, the young children who are 6 or 7, 8, should eat the matzah, should eat the mother, and do that's the main focus. And the Shulchan Aruch adds a chiddush that he says very clearly. Look inside the Shulchan Aruch. He says also they should see the benching. That was a big chiddush to me. To see the benching and to see the halal. That's part of the chinuch. Each child different. Certain children cannot be awake so long. Certain children lose the attention span. But as each child as they develop, that's a chiyuv chinuch. The focus.
Saying the story is before the meal.
Yeah, you say. The Rishonim say. At the meal. The biggest rai the Rishonim bring that it got to the morning. You think they didn't bench? Didn't say halal? We say that the seder has to be said at night. It can't be done. Some Rishonim said the whole seder has to be finished before chatzos. I'll explain in a minute. But everyone agrees the seder has to be done before Alos Shachar. They were sitting in Bnei Barak, Kiva is Chaveidov, Amar Tamidov, he gives the middle of the meal. Yeah, but I'm saying Gizman Krishma, that was later, Netz. Gizman Krishma was the Netz. He says, so I'm saying, so you see that the Rishonim bring this right, that it was much later. They finished the meal and they were, there's a Machlokes of Rishonim, which many people don't know this. The Machlokes of Rishonim, till when can you eat, what's his name, the Kzais Matzah? Because the question is the Korban Pesach. It's a Machlokes of Rishonim, the Korban Pesach to be eaten till Chatzos, or Piyos Alas Hasham. Machlokes and Rabbi Elchonon Tauber and the Chachamim. Rabbi Elchonon Tauber, I think, says till Chatzos, and the Chachamim Kol Halayla. Machlokes is how we paskin. So there's somebody showing them Korban Pesach. No. The Korban Pesach is a Minat Torah. When can I eat the Korban Pesach Minat Torah? Till Chatzos or till the morning? Because somebody showing him Bechatzos Alaylo, Gemara Darshan Bechatzos Alaylo Yotzim B'toch Mitzrayim is Markim Chodesh. He held till Chatzos they ate the Korban Pesach. Rambam says all night. So we paskin l'chumen Shulchan Aruch that you have to eat the gzais matzah before chatzos. Everyone knows you have to eat the gzais matzah before chatzos. Many hold the Ramuz says even the gzais of Afikoymen, and the Ramuz says even halal before chatzos. This year it's easy. Well, the clock is moved, but Al Kapunim, the Rishonim hold that. Other Rishonim hold.
Only the first night.
That's how we
Yeah, I mean, machmer.
The second night you can eat it as late as you want, even 2 in the morning. That's what I heard.
Yeah, because it's Machlokes of Rishonim. Some Rishonim hold the kazais matzah. It's Machlokes of Rishonim. It's the second night. I can hear why people are making it. It's Machlokes of Rishonim. But Al Kapunim, I'm explaining that according to those Rishonim, they finished the Seder Chatzos. But even if you don't pass in that way, because Kiva was at the Seder too, so everyone agrees it has to be at Laila. That's the Pusik and Choigesau. So the Korban Pesach and everything had to be done. So anyways, that's the most important thing, is to gear the Seder for the children. You know, it's very interesting. I'll just add quickly before, we want the children to ask. That's the whole thing. The whole Tibur Rishon was to make the children do strange things, to make sure the children ask a question. It's very interesting. You know why it's that way? Because when you're curious about something, you remember. If you're not curious, I could hear the sports. I tried to listen to the news when I made this errands Friday. They talk about sports, they even go into my ear. I didn't know how American football is played today. I recently asked the guy sitting next to me on the plane, he was watching the whole time. Said, I gotta know what this game is. People pile on top of each other. Explain to me the game. I finally got the hold of the game, how it works. I gave a good marshal. I said, I've got the game. It's a way to get Mr. Haskell. So imagine a guy tells you, I picked up the ball, I picked it up from one end zone, I ran to the other end zone. You really did it? Yeah. Who was there? There was no one there. Shkoyach, no one there. Shkoyach. You have 9 people, 11 people, 11 people look like 300-pounders and they rush. Now let's see what you're going to get. This is our life, the Yitzhahara. You know what I mean? Ashkoyach, if it's no Yitzhahara, you got from one end to the other, big deal. Well, you don't get schar for that. We have to fight this Yitzhahara, that Yitzhahara, this guy tackles us with this guy tackles us with this. We have all having to and then you get a few yards, everyone screams. I mean, I saw on the TV next to me, the guy was on the screen. He says, the whole time, so he didn't get anything, he just got a few yards. We got just a little bit learning done, a little bit Yiddishkeit done. Everyone in Pamal Yishmael screams. We don't hear them screaming, that's the problem. If you would hear them scream, we would do a better job. But anyways, coming back on to the say that the whole Manishtana was built on a Yisod, that they should ask, to make the children curious, because when they ask, then it has a bigger impact. They get it. That's the whole say that is built on that.
What do you practically do for the adults if there's 2% children? I understand that there's a center of it, but what do you do with everybody else at that point?
So everyone reads until the father explains, and Baruch Hashem, everyone has a thick aguda. Do you know that the first print that they made, from the first print, it was the aguda? Do you know that? When the first printing came out, I'm going to tell you what happened. First printing was the Bible. You know what the second printing was? You wouldn't believe it. Pornography. No. Talking the first print, the first thing they printed is the Bible. And can you imagine this? But one of the first things the Yiddish thing printed was the Aguda, with the pictures. Yes. Pictures, they have Agudas old, who knows, since the first print. And why? To get the children, we have pictures all over. There was no such thing as pictures those days. It didn't exist. You had to go to who knows where to find a painting. So for God the children, that was the whole focus, to get them awake, stay awake, and interesting. And
they used to print a book and then they'd have an artist color it on the side.
Yeah. It was a big thing, right? That's what used to do.
If you want to see these original Haggadahs here in LA, the Scribble has an incredible Haggadah display from old Haggadahs, the first print, all pictures.
Okay, so let me explain another thing which many people don't always ask.
1320 was the first print.
How much?
1320.
So, so let me explain something very. The Zeichel Hillel, Kachus Hillel, everyone gets a little bit confused about that. What is this Hillel? And you should know the Shulchan Aruch has a big chumrah. We should also bring in. Not everyone is marking. He says you're not allowed to talk out till after Kodesh. Chabad listens to this. He says it's clear. Baruchol Bitcho Aktana. No talking till after Kodesh. Yeah, talking chesed shots. The only place. Now, so let me explain. let me explain this. What is Hillel and what is the, you know, let's start this way. Minat Torah, Zman Hazeh, Matzah is only Minat Torah, Morer is only Midrabanan. That's rule number one. Because Morer, the Gemara Darshans, has to be Bizman Pesach Noig. So let me explain what happens. Bizman B'Smigdish was Kayim. You could have eaten matzah separate, mutter separate, and Korban Pesach separate. You could have eaten, and then probably what they did is, going to Chachamim, they washed, they ate the kazayas, matzah l'shem matzah, then they ate the mutter, that's the raisa, then they ate the meal, and Korban Pesach is bu'ala soiva. You know what soiva means? The Korban Pesach was eaten not when you're very hungry, not you're very, a little hungry, not very. Yeah, second dish. First was the Korban Chagiga, and then was the Korban Pesach. So according to Chachamim, it was eaten 3 shlavim. How do you say 3 shlavim? Three courses it was eaten. So now, if you wanted, you could eat it together. Why am I saying this? Because there's a mitzvah to have tam matzah. There's a mitzvah to have menat Torah. It's a mitzvah to have tam mutter. It's a mitzvah to have tam Korban Pesach. So if a guy would eat the Korban Pesach, he would like to put some other food on top of it. Put some other food on Korban Pesach. You're not allowed to because it's mavatal, the taste of the Korban Pesach. You have to eat matzah separate, mutter, but if you want, you can eat it together because mitzvahs ein mavatlan zeh. Since this is a deraisa, mutter is a deraisa, and Pesach is a deraisa. So according to Chachamim, I could eat all 3 together. I could eat it separate, and according to Chachamim, they ate it separate because. Yeah. So, but the Chachamim says you ate it. Hillel came and he darshes the pasuk. No, you have to eat all 3 together. Kach, koirich, matzah, mutter, and Pesach, v'ochlen b'yachad. The Rishonim ask. I don't want to get into that. How what happened to a soiva? Let's leave that kasha out momentarily. But according to Hillel, the mitzvah was to make a sandwich. So you remember, the matzahs was not done the way we make matzahs. You know, I want to tell you a cute Shulchan Charav. He quotes a Chak Yankiv. He says, the Rishama says, how difficult Pesach is. It's so difficult to keep Pesach. So Shulchan, nowadays you're allowed to say it. Because nowadays we self-impose so many chumras, you're allowed to say it's so difficult. All right, look at it. He says it. He quotes a Chak Yankiv. He says, Bisman, Talmud, they didn't impose themselves. We have so many chumras, you're allowed to say, you know, like they didn't have spring cleaning. You know. I hope my wife doesn't listen to this, but she's not well, and she insists to hire 2 shiks, so she cannot do anything. The curtains has to come down, and Pesach cannot come if the curtains are not washed. Doesn't say, I told her, look in Tai Shulchan Aruch, doesn't say curtains have to be washed. Argue with her. You know what I'm saying? So you're allowed to say, how difficult Pesach really is. But Al Kaponim, I was going to come back. So this Hillel holds that you could eat all 3 together. And now, Morer Bizman Hazeh is a D'Rabbanan. So if a guy would eat matzah and Morer together, you're not yoitza, because tam mutter is mavatal the tam matzah. So according to Hillel, after the charbim, how are you supposed to do? So according to Hillel, after the charbim is like this: you eat matzah, and you eat mutter together with the matzah. No. We say it. Forget what we say. According to Hillel, right now, after the charbim, matzah is the raisa, mutter is a d'Rabbanan. But so matzah we have to eat separate. We can't make a sandwich with mutter because mutter is a d'Rabbanan, and if you eat it together, it's mavatal the raisa. So we have to eat matzah separate. We came to mutter. Hillel says you have to do like you did in B'Samigdish. In B'Samigdish, they ate all 3 together. So now, in order to be yotzei mutter, Hillel holds you have to eat matzah mutter together. Okay. So we want to be yotzei both. Because the Rishonim say in the Gemara, it's not clear how we paskin. Normally we paskin like Hillel, but very rare is the Amachlekeshish and the Chachomim and Hillel. Do you know that? I think Tosis says, twice or three times in Shas, there's a Machlekes Chachomim and Hillel. It's either Beis Hillel or the Shammai or Shammai Hillel. Chachomim and Hillel. I think Tosis says there's only one more or two times. Tosis native and speaks about it in the beginning of Erev and beginning of Sukkah also. But it's a very few times is it. So now, we don't know how we paskin. We paskin like Hillel, paskin like Chomim. So why?
From Chananya that argued on right?
The what?
Chananya quoted you need a door at the...
Right. So let me just focus. Yeah. Let me just focus quickly over here. So now, according to Hillel, we want to be yotzei both. So if we're going to eat, we're going to do like Hillel, and we eat mutter with matzah. How yotzei will be yotzei the matzah? You can't eat more matzah. The matzah is reshus now. We eat matzah. Everyone agrees nowadays you have to eat matzah first.
You can't have a reshus with the rabbanon.
Right, but you can't have a reshus with the rabbanon. So the mortar we cannot eat together with the matzah sandwich because once we yoytze the gzayis matzah, the next matzah is a reshus. So it's mavatul tamura. So we eat matzah.
So even according to Hillel, if you had already eaten your matzah first,
But you have to now.
no, back then, at the time of Mikdash, right? If you had your matzah, then afterwards you can't combine.
No, because you were not yoytze. The Hillel, you're not yoytze the matzah, you have to eat all three together.
Oh, so if you ate matzah by
There was
itself,
nothing.
you still could mix it together.
Right.
It's
But
not-
nowadays, Hillel agrees that Pesach and Mortar is only the Rabbanon. There's no Pesach, so matzah you have to eat. You can't eat matzah and Mortar together. So matzah eat. So the Mortar, according to Hillel, you have to eat it with a sandwich. But according to Chachamim, you eat it with a sandwich, you're not yotzei. So first we eat Mortar, we yotzei the Chachamim. According to Hillel, we were not yotzei now Mortar. So now we have to eat the sandwich. So that's why you're not allowed to talk out. Because he said Achilas Mortar. So according to Hillel, we're not yotzei yet, Achilas Mortar.
So it's from the bracha mar. It's not from bracha matzah.
And bracha morer. So once you say bracha morer, you're not allowed to speak out because right. This is what he just said, Minyan. It is once you say halachilis morer, you're not allowed to speak out because the chilis morer goes on the sandwich. Matzah Hillel was most of my yotzei. So after chilis morer, you're not allowed to speak out. So the many poskim hold you shouldn't say zeichel amigdash kachus Hillel. That's also speaking out. The Shulchan Aruch says, even though you're not allowed to speak out, many Medina Sili we say Zeichel Hillel. Many poskim say, how could you say Zeichel Hillel? You were speaking out.
Can you say it afterwards, maybe?
Yeah, maybe afterwards. Many held that this Zeichel Hillel was it was put in parentheses. You should know, why do we eat the sandwich now? It was put in. I ate. That was yotzei. It was. Some learned that it was brought in like in the print. It was put in the apprentice just to know what this is all about. But I looked it up quickly before I came. The Shulchan Aruch says no. The minig because other hold you're not to say it only afterwards. You know.
Once the minhag is a minhag, you have to leave.
No. He holds it's not a heavy hefsek. There's many reasons why. It could be passing like
We
Yechomim.
do say it, I think, right?
Yeah.
I know we say it.
Another thing in the Aguda, which is a huge machlekes in the Rishonim. So, there's two questions in the Rishonim. I began to say, when we eat karpas, you know what's so interesting? You know what karpas means in Persian? You Persian? You speak Persian? I was told in Persia, karpas. I have a bunch of people Persian come to the Afyoy. Karpas means what is it called? No, not lettuce.
Those parsley that they beat on people.
No, not parsley. No, celery.
Yeah.
Is in karpas?
Yeah.
Karpas is celery.
The kids of Shulchan Aruch says the most other thing is to use celery.
Yeah.
I thought lobsters don't eat celery.
Just saying. Karpas, karpas. You see, when the Yidden went into Golas, they didn't know the translation of karpas. They lost many of the translation. There's few things that we, they researched, and karpas is celery because there were many. The Sfardim never lost the translation. They only ate celery. We Ashkenazim have no idea what it was. So we, potatoes, we had this, and we had that. No, there's nothing with peaning. Peaning started much later, many. This, not knowing what karpas is one of the Rishonim didn't know what karpas is already. And Rashi's
Maybe we should
Mesipi.
go back to celery.
Back with the kazayas.
I'm just saying.
But we now know what it is. Why not?
Yeah, well, if you know what it is, why not?
Just because you made a mistake for 1,000 years.
Yes,
you can't
it's
go
not a
back.
mistake. You can eat anything. You can eat anything. The Gemara says you should eat karpas because karpas is perach, but you can eat any vegetable. Anyways, so
I don't think Persians have celery now.
no, Sephardim, a lot of Sephardim eat the celery. No.
Sodom don't do what?
Eat celery. Yeah, sure. Radishes, I tell you where. Yes, we also eat radishes. But why we ate radishes, I tell you, very simple, very, very practical. In Europe, that's the only thing that grew. This time of the year, in Europe, it was cold. The only thing that really was available was radishes. What do you think they didn't eat Roman lettuce? It wasn't available. Lettuce was not available. We have everything all year round. But they only had horseradish. That's the only thing that they had. A lettuce only comes late in the summer. If you don't have hot houses up there's no lettuce. The only way we have lettuce, we continuously.
What's the moral criteria?
What's the point of the lettuce?
The Gemara has 5 names. The Gemara says clearly 5 names. So I'll get to that. I want to focus on this question first. Everybody, so let me just focus on first on this.
Can I sort of go off on a tangent mode because it was brought up? So we say karpas is whatever we all have different hug and pass down. But someone brought up the fact that we can't peel celery. Are we required to peel every fruit and vegetable? And you can't peel celery.
How do you eat romaine lettuce? How do you peel
I
that?
think a better example is how do you eat fresh basil or whatever.
I can't tell you what your menhagim is.
I'm just asking,
Let me explain to you what the problem was. In Europe, the reason why they didn't eat anything you couldn't peel, because there was no hygiene. Hygiene, you say in English. People, the guy was cleaning the fruit, would eat on top of it, and today, everything works with machines, and everything is. I went once, watched how the grapes nowadays, no one cuts grapes anymore. Did you know that? You have machines the last few years. Couldn't believe it. The grapes is the harvest of the grapes. It used to, the Mexicans used to do it. And now they don't even have Mexicans. I watched how they do tomatoes. They don't. Used to be always Mexicans. I see it's a machine now does it. But I'm trying to explain. Those days they were very nervous. What they did, and so they're afraid it was chametz there. But nowadays, but I don't want to. Many is pesticide is not chametz. It's not chametz. No, it's really not chametz. Pesticides. It's not chametz.
What is it?
It's chemicals.
Right.
So are there any fruits or vegetables that we should not or are not allowed to eat?
I can't answer.
Halacha,
Halacha, you wash off the fruit, it's perfectly okay.
every fruit and vegetable.
Every fruit that you wash off is not a problem.
Especially the ones you can peel.
What if it was grown next to wheat?
No, that's something else. But the question is why they didn't eat kidneys. So they're showing them, the kidneys is an old minig. 1,000 years, the Rishonim bring the minig, the Ashkenazim. And there's 2 reasons the Rishonim give, but the Ashkenazim that did it. One reason is because the kidneys always used to grow right next to the grain fields and always find grain among the kidneys. It was always difficult to clean. Second, they said they used to make bread out of kidneys. So when corn was introduced into Europe, corn is corn is a new fruit. Corn, potatoes, tomatoes, this popular food is from America. Tomatoes are from South America, and potatoes is in America, and corn. So what happened was that they wanted to know, and they saw that the American Indians, they were told, made bread out of it. They made bread out of corn. So Mamela, they didn't, because now the problem is how's it called? Quinoa. So the quinoa is a machlokes between the Rabbi Heinemann and Rabbi Belsky. Rabbi Belsky claims that they still grow it in South America. It's South America, deepest South America. Even where it was deep. I thought in Brazil. Where is the grow?
All over South America.
All over. So, but the bottom line is that it grows next to grain fields. It still is that way. And he says you can't eat it the way it is. It has to be made into something. You usually make it into a cake and make it into.
No.
We figured out other ways. It's like rice.
Oh, back no, but he's talking about in South America.
South America, how they use it.
Same reason why they ask the kidney.
Kidney, the same reason. The way he holds.
I don't think it's that they cook it into a cake. It's that the same way a grain is, you have to separate a husk or a shell.
Same, it works that way.
That's the same way by
Well,
quinoa.
the same reason why they consider corn kidney is
Right, because also.
So one guy tells me, I don't want to say the Rav, who wrote an article on the internet, someone tells me, but you can't add new things. I says, I don't understand. Corn is a new thing. And
Don't say it too loud, because add potatoes also, as soon as they find out that.
no, potatoes very old. Potatoes were introduced the same time.
They have the chamber fly.
No,
No.
that's the whole thing goes back and forth, because I wanted to say that it looks like cake, because then potatoes also looks like cake.
No, because if you make it into a flour,
No.
potatoes also
No,
turn into a starch.
So there's a whole argument. The OU has a whole pamphlet they put out. They come up with the truth of Ramesh that they asked him about peanuts and about potatoes. And he says that you don't add to the chumras. He says they had the chumra. This is what they do. So he said he pointed to Ramesh peanuts are okay
Yeah.
I have to see. I have to look it up because corn was introduced much later, and
So they asked the Shiloh. So one of the questions they said, the obvious question of Ramesh is true, but was
it's corn.
corn is a later thing. Even though with potatoes is also
Potatoes is not a kasha. Potatoes is not made to eat as a thing. Potatoes is always made to eat potatoes. You don't take potatoes and you make it into what do you say? Yeah, but that was invented for.
Corn, everybody eats corn as corn.
No, originally, no. Corn was made originally bread. American Indians made this was their bread, right away.
So what's the other for you?
What about sorghum? There's a thing called sorghum. It's a grass. My father told me about this. I don't know what he's talking about. I Googled it. It's in Africa.
It's
a grass.
It's called sorghum wheat.
But that's it's hollow, but it's a grass.
Different color.
And it's the fifth largest grown thing that's used to make like wheat stuff like that. But it's not much as a grass. And in Africa, poor countries, because it doesn't need a lot of water to grow. So in poor countries, they not much take it, they use it, they grind it, they turn it, make bread out of it.
So that for sure wouldn't be
But
good.
it has but it's a grass.
But again, if you make bread out of it, that's one of the reasons kidneys. That was kidneys.
Anything that you could make.
Anything with the made bread right away, not that you could. If corn, the American Indians used corn for bread. Potatoes was not used for bread. The American Indians ate potatoes. You could.
You would maintain that kidneys you can't use.
Quinoa. If it's the way he says, I don't know the Metzias.
I've never seen
In this
quinoa.
country,
Also-
quinoa is not popularly used.
Rabbi
for bread.
Elchonon says that apparently part of the process of the quinoa, they cover it with barley, and then you have to separate
Something
it
else.
down to mice.
No, but I
It's
use a
a
hechsher
hechsher
on
for
it.
the cure.
That's it. You need a hechsher. Quinoa needs a hechsher.
I can't use a hechsher on it.
All right. Anyways, I want to come back.
Sorry, so one last question.
So what about the quinoa? You want to look at
Are broccoli and cauliflower okay?
again, if you wash it well, it's not a problem. Halacha. I don't have these comments. Hungarians, where my parents come from, we ate gebrachts, and I don't know if you know what Oiberland. Oiberland was the Seifer, that they ate gebrachts and they ate machine matzahs, just for the seder there, and we ate, the fruit we washed very well, but I can't. Menhugim is menhugim. But I tell you an interesting thing. When I got married, so my wife is a yekka, and she doesn't eat chicken. Hungarians don't eat fish.
Just on Pesach.
On Pesach.
Come up in the show, did it come up?
So I was a newlywed. I asked, and I was in Monsey, and I asked Rabbi Yankiv Kamenetsky, now what am I going to do? I asked him, I don't my fish, my parents don't eat. My in-laws don't eat chicken. What am I going to eat? So he said to me, you're allowed to eat chicken, you're allowed to eat fish, and he said why the Hungarians didn't eat fish because most of there's one famous river in Hungary, but past that river they didn't have, the only way to bring live fish, fresh fish, was in water. We put chametz into the water, used to put bread into the water. So they didn't want to eat fish. They didn't have ice like we have in the fresh fish. They used to have bread. He said that doesn't exist. He says the Yekkes didn't eat chicken because you shechted the chicken in your home and you salted it yourself. And there's a whole simon in Shulchan Aruch. I don't know, I just learned it. I always learn Chazer over. You never know. If you salted it, you found the chita. We ever found the chita in the chicken? Us. What they do is they rip the guts out in the shlachtos, and they don't even bother with it. And it goes for the animal feed. They used to take the guts and used to salt it and used to find the chita. He says that's not negaya. So I said to him, but a minute, when I was young, I was asks the kedusha, and he takes out a pri chodosh and he shows the pri chodosh very clearly. If a minig depends on this is the reason, by minig we do say if the reason doesn't apply, you don't have to listen. It's not like a drabanan. Butla tam, we don't say, but over here, what do you say?
We don't, Chabad doesn't use garlic because they use to cure. No, that's not true, by the way. Chabad doesn't eat. Certain people don't eat garlic because they use to cure it in beer.
Yeah, it's true. It says in Shulchan Aruch.
So you don't do that anymore.
No, so if you know for sure that it comes with Ashgacha, you're allowed to. We eat garlic. Of course there's garlic with the kosher of Pesach. No, kidneys even with Ashgacha. They knew kidneys was not used even with Ashgacha. Nothing to do with that. That because they used to make bread with it, and that's a whole different story. But food that that all the other food, if the whole reason, the marshal. Let me say something else. And it's going to shock you. The Shulchan Aruch says which food you're allowed to eat, which not. Let's say sugar, right? So in Chabad, it's not just Chabad, many people take the sugar and cook it to make it into liquid. Sugar. Why do you make it into liquid? In case there's chometz there, it becomes lach balach and becomes bottle before Pesach. That's what Abraham said. Why would they be choshit? Because the goyim used to put flour into sugar. Sugar was extremely expensive. Flour was cheaper. They used to cheat this way. Nowadays, if there's ashgocha, they have, which they make a run, the moshel, the domino sugar has a run. When I was a young boy, sugar was abnormally expensive. So I remember there was a Rav in Barpa called the Moshe Bik, a very famous Rav, a fearless Rav. And he got up, Rabbim, and he said to everyone, don't buy the Haimish Tziker. Wow. He said, buy the domino sugar. You pay, it was 5 times the amount, the sugar that was... He said it's ridiculous because the reason they did it, because there was no, if you are there, you have a run, the OU goes there and make sure, and today they wouldn't do such a thing. You know what I mean? Those days it was known. And Shulchan Aruch says certain things they would eat. Processed food was the same problem. Processed food that no one ate. But what in the world do I know what they're doing in the company? Who is there? Do you know the sugar was a different problem in the times of let me tell you interessante Zach. We have a minute. Let me tell you a very cute zach. There's a machlekes, Yavshavula v'Shulam, and a Belski with the Sheitlach, where they came from India. Yeah. So what was the machlekes? The machlekes was that the Lubavitch gets credit because the Rebbe, he's told not to use India Sheitlers 35 years ago. I don't know if you know this. And when the first Sheitl came, that's why the Sheitl machers in Lubavitch, they did not use India hair. They always used from Russian hair. But what was, so there's a question, what was the machlekes? Machlekes is, what do you say? What was the question? The question was like this. Ayois, they sell in the market, the goyim, when they order sheitlach, it's not the Yid goes into India. There's a guy, an Indian guy who collects all the hair, comes to Italy, and over there's a big manufacturer, and I don't know which hair I'm getting. I don't know. So there's a machlekes if that's called a kvu or not. If the goy goes in, there's a rav here and not from Avodah Zarah. There's a meat of Avodah Zarah that we say called the Purush, a riba Purush, when the goy gets it. You know what called the kviya means? The Gemara says you have 9 butcher stores selling kosher. one selling treif. If I go in, I have some money, I took a piece of meat, I don't know where I took it, it's a mechza, it's treif. If I find it in the floor, called the porish, miriva porish. So this machlekes was an alta machlekes in the sons of roof, the Divrei Chaim, the Shlomo Kliger. They used to put into sugar, chazer fat. And sugar.
In Europe?
In Europe, in times of Shlomo, why? It made the sugar, whatever, a certain fat better. It made it better. So there was a big machlokes, only a meat of the people use it. If I send a guy to, when the grocery in town, I order sugar, I have no idea from where he brings it. Do we say it's called the kvua or not? The Sanzeruf said it's called the kvua, and the Shlomo Kliger says, I don't know what the Rebbe wants. He writes in the tshuva, I don't know what the Rebbe makes at the album. Anyways, that's an alta machlokes. You know what? Before that, the times of the Rizal, they used to put milk into the sugar to make it white. I'll tell you a secret, that Rizal ate the sugar. So he said to Chaim Vital, he was not choshesh for the milk they put in, because I remember it was bottled. You know, no, but there's a different question, because they made it white, and it's not latama vida, other reasons. So Chaim Vital writes, I saw my Rebbe not makpid, he would eat the sugar. It was a b'chloikas in his times, you could eat the sugar. Oh, that was just milk that, what? Chaim Vital in the Sefer quotes it quotes.
They used to eat the milk sugar with what?
They put, he says it's not a problem to eat it with fleshy. He said, they put in a little, very little milk to make it white. Nowadays, they don't do now this and now that, and you know, you could go check it, it's machines that does it, and there's a run for Pesach. So, Emei Halacha, you don't have to.
You mentioned the shekels because you think it's called a
The same thing, called the porish. The same thing was.
Even if there is flour.
Right.
The Hungarians didn't eat the chicken or they didn't eat the fish?
They didn't eat fish. Because they used to put into the fish, and they used to bring fish, they used to bring in a tank, and used to put bread into the tank so the fish should stay alive. Transport.
Yeah, it would be like a big tank of water.
It wasn't because
But if the fish is dead from before Pesach, so who cares?
But it wasn't dead, it was alive. You can't, it didn't have freezer. Didn't have a freezer to get, you know, fish. You know, fish. Weißt du, the Welt so.
Fish, the problem is because they were eating chametz on Pesach.
Right.
You can't have another, right? And then the chicken also were eating chametz on Pesach?
The chicken also, when they had to shecht on Pesach, didn't have freezers. Remember that? So the guy, the shoichet came on Pesach, shechted it, and I salted it. And I find a kernel of grain there. So they didn't want to eat chicken. Finished.
In London, they still show up with tanks.
There's still
Fish?
And they can feed it.
Yeah, but they don't feed it. They don't feed it. What's the name?
You feed it a different kind of chametz, not a feed.
Yeah, I don't know why they do it. Every fish market, big tankers, they're fish. So you can't walk. What's the
Story. You have to ask your local rabbi.
But based on what you're saying, we paskin that we should not eat it.
The way after I read all the articles, I don't understand the makilim. Quinoa.
Because, just to clarify, because it's made into bread.
It's right. It's made to make a tafsha right away out of it. It's not made. It's like corn was made right away to make bread. Quinoa was made right away to make a tafsha out of it.
How does it differ from rice?
That's why we don't eat rice. Sure, that's exactly
So it's kidneys because it's like rice.
right. All right, I really wanted to go off.
Even though you mentioned earlier that a minute, if it doesn't have the same reasons, doesn't stand anymore. So those reasons don't stand anymore today.
I want to say something to add. You know, the kidney is we don't eat Yontav Achlan. I don't know. There are many things we eat Yontav. You know, many people eat gebrachs. You eat gebrachs Yontav Achlan. See, any chumrah, anything that's not ikar halacha, we eat Yontav Achlan to show it's just a fachama. Kidney is the older person says was never eaten Yontav Achlan.
Why not?
Because they held it was it's an old mini, it's not a chumrah. This was accepted by Klal Yisrael. That's a chaymedige zach.
I don't understand. If the circumstances change, it doesn't apply anymore.
Well, who says it changes? What changed? Who says it changed?
Originally, the whole problem with the kidneys was that they would grow in the same proximity.
Yeah, who says it doesn't? And who says it doesn't?
Today we can validate it.
Well, how do you know? Certain places, yes, still, in certain places, not.
Today we can validate it.
You can't validate. It depends on the farmer. No. Yeah, but the reason was, but a mini, if the tam is bottled, the prichodesh is not like the Rebbanan, The Rabbanon let Zichol Avakim. You can't say just because the reason. Pri Chodesh was no. The Pri Chodesh was right after the Bis Yosef, right after the Shach. The Pri Chodesh, the Shulchan Aruch, when he wants to argue with the Pri Chodesh, he's frightened to argue. But Azar, when he argues with him, first he gives such a Deloy kechak Yankiv Deloy. But the Pri Chodesh, he's afraid to start up. And he does disagree with him, and in Hilchos Pesach, the Pri Chodesh was very early. I forgot the Rechaim Kodesh is very right next to the Pri Chodesh, and that's in Yerushalayim.
For Maror, when we mix horseradish with lettuce, how do you measure kazayis?
Oh, so let me talk about Maror then. I would tell you just the halacha. You should do what you. Why did they use horseradish in Europe?
That's what there was.
That's what it was. That's exactly, they had nothing else but horseradish and radishes. That's what they ate for carbs, radishes, not because they had all the fruits and vegetables that we have available. That's the Metzias. So the Mishnah says, and the Shulchan Aruch brings it down, you're supposed to pay more money. The Iker Morer is Chazeres. Chazeres is the lettuce. And if it costs more money, you're supposed to spend more money on Chazeres. Because that's the Hiddur Mitzvah. As opposed to horseradish. Horseradish is the third one. So he says, why people didn't use the lettuce? They wasn't available, number one. Number two, you have to check it very well. But Baruch Hashem today, they do, it still have to check it, but it's very clean. Depends, 2 years ago it was extremely clean,
Like this year, that's terrible.
This year it's terrible already?
It's infested.
Okay, well, yeah.
A lot of people use endive.
Endives also, when you use endives,
Is it a particular kind of lettuce? Like some people say endives.
it's Roman lettuce. Roman lettuce. But if it's infested, then don't eat it. So what you could do, the second thing, what you eat them together is a big machlokes. Why? Why do you want to eat? Because you hold maybe the lettuce is not morer. The chumrah was maybe the lettuce is not morer. The machmirim hold, it's not. The bitter is not a teres. The Gemara says mefurish that it's not bitter, but that's not. But they held maybe it's not. It's not this lettuce. So then it's remember I spoke before. Then it's mavatul the taste. Yeah, it's if the lettuce is not morer, it's mavatul the taste of it. So if you put it together, you didn't gain anything. Many people eat it together. But eating together, if you're worried that the lettuce is not morer, then you're eating together, you accomplished nothing.
If it's both
Then it's good. If both is good.
Hold on, when you say what's the good? You said it's no good if you eat it together. If you hold that they're both mother, but you're having it together, stop.
Then it's okay. But if you machmer, you don't want to use the lettuce because maybe that's not morer, that's not what the morer is. So you put it into lettuce, then you defeated the purpose because. No, because duver rishus is mavato duver choiv. Remember I explained before, according to why do we eat morer? Because if we would, why don't we eat right away koirach? That's true. So if the lettuce is only not real lettuce, it's not the chazeres, then you're putting it a sandwich, you defeated it.
Why can't the minute that some people eat the little chazeres without even writing it, like the real?
Yeah, well, there is one achron held that way, but that's not accepted. He wants to know that what's his name? Who's the achron? Is the Nesivis? What's it say for Derech Chaim? The Derech Chaim held. The Derech Chaim held that if you grind morer, it loses its. You don't make a by priadoma since you grind it. It's impossible to eat it raw. Impossible. And many say that. What? You can't eat it raw.
Depends how big a piece.
I don't know what
A
you
lot of options won't break it down to small bits. They'll actually grate it down so it's chunky.
It's like the cheese, like the thick cheese.
I don't. A pialucha, you could grate it down into whatever, and it's okay.
Like they won't put it in a food processor. The hand grate
All right.
is much
All
bigger
right.
pieces.
So how do you measure kazayis?
How do you measure kazayis? No, I want to explain to you, Rabbi Isai. A kazayis is not a potato. An kazayis is not an egg. And a kazais is a kazais. And you know what? You ever saw an olive?
Yeah.
Take a big olive. If you want to be machmer, the big olive. It's not.
So for Mara, it's one kazayas,
A morer is one kazais.
with the lettuce and the,
If you're eating the lettuce
lettuce is
and the
factored into this kazayas as well as.
If you hold that, and again.
You hold them both tomorrow.
You hold her both Mara,
We eat roaming with
horseradish.
So again, I'm saying it doesn't. Something doesn't make sense. The reason people don't want to eat horseradish because they hold that maybe the lettuce is not morer. If it's not morer, you defeated the purpose.
So what do the Hungarians do?
They ate the horseradish. Period.
Plain, straight.
Straight. No. They grounded it.
You take a spoon of
Let's say when
cream.
you,
Yeah.
Rabbi, when you eat Mark, you take a spoon and you go, you're kidding, really? Because for us, it's practical to hold it
You got
together.
shawarma, especially with the practicality, you have to hold it in something.
So when do you guys eat the chazeres?
I changed it. I eat chazeres because I saw when I started to have my table, I saw the women don't eat. They fanfare around. They don't eat it. I watch my daughters as they're growing up.
You guys, you do either or, either.
I have both at the table, and I eat the Roman lettuce. I eat just the head because the head has no worms. The leaves have worms. I just eat mamish the inside. That's called the heart. There is no worm. Never find worms there. I have young daughters and they have good eyes, but I never just I buy more. Big deals. Pesach is so expensive. The little more that I buy an extra box of lettuce.
So we've never seen it. So you just eat the lettuce and that's it, just the basic.
I eat the base. That's what I eat.
And when you make your curry, you put that in.
Sandwich, yeah.
Just the lettuce.
Just the lettuce.
But I'm saying other Hungarians or other Menagim, they'll just take a spoon and they'll put the
My father, we ate just horseradish. It was grounded. It would take it and just put it without the lettuce on the matzah.
How do you dip your mar into the? Or you dip the matzah into the?
No, the ksais mutter, you would take it and make it into a balling and dip it into the chareisas.
And shake it up.
So one kazayas, and that applies to curry as well.
Why does it seem like for matzah for kazayas? For kazayas and matzah, it seems like people make it so much bigger.
Well, a kazais matzah is very hard for me to tell you, but it's a third of a matzah to a half. And I machmer, but I don't give my children more.
Because when it's ground up, you make it like
It's a ground up, yeah, but it's only a third.
More than a half a matzah.
It's not that much. It's not. It's not. Yeah, about a quarter to a third of a matzah is a kazais.
When you know, say quarter of a matzah, when we eat two, when you make a plate, you don't have kazais with an opponent. Because we have two kazais.
Everyone has two kazais. Only the one that got it, the rest. But the rest don't have two kazais. Okay. Yeah.
I've never figured out it's not for the, because we're so machmer on new broths, I never figured out with the chareisas, it's wet, right? So you're supposed to dip the water into it. How do you put it back into the curry because you're gonna make it wet?
Well, it's not water. It's wine. Wine.
So we
Wine-
do not
wine
take
is-
wine.
wine is water.
I want to say something. I always quote the Shulchan Aruch. If you look in the Shulchan Aruch, he says very clearly, there is no mukim to be machmer to put onto the matzah other liquids made payers. Ein lahachmer klal. He says it very clearly that you're allowed to put. Last year, when I said it here, people will have thought, who knows what. 3 years ago, I mean, people thought I was a goy over here, like, you know.
Hillel made put the matzah together with the meat. You think the meat wasn't juicy and everything like that?
Yeah, well, no, but it wasn't. It was made. No.
If you put oil on matzah, oil usually has water. in it.
I want to explain to you something. The Shulchan Aruch, many people have a misunderstanding of the whole Chumrah. Let me explain. If you look in the Geras, in the back of the Shulchan Aruch, he explains the Chumrah very clearly. He says that 20 years before him, when they used to make matzahs, they used to make it very slowly. They used to grind, beat it very, very well, and take your time. So it was very well kneaded. I say the kneaded was very well. There was no flour there. He says nowadays we took another chumrah, the chumrah of the Rishonim that said you have to make it very, very fast. So he explains very often you look at it, you see there's some flour left which never was before. For that reason, his Rebbe, the Maggid, said you should not put the matzahs into the soup because you sometimes could see a little bit flour there. That's what what?
Yeah, but it's not for the
Yeah, but that's machlokes. The Rishonim, even though it went through the oven, it's still machmetz. But he says very clearly that the chumrah started because we do it so fast. That there's certain chumras cause certain kulas. But he says very clearly it does not apply to May Peiros. So you could put avocado on the matzah, cream cheese. What was the other thing? What would you just ask? Wine, oil. Cream cheese has what? Cream cheese has water?
So 1 second. So matzah bride, you're just using eggs. It's not gebrach.
Not gebrach.
And milk. You can use even milk.
Milk if it's not if there's no water.
water.
I don't know if there's water. I don't know if there's water in the milk. What?
Wine is water.
Yeah, but that turns into the Shulchan Aruch says clearly. Wine, even though they add water, but since it turned into wine, it loses the status of water. It says Mefurish in Shulchan Aruch.
During the times where they talk about the wine, they have to pour
Right.
Wine is considered a Peiros even though it has water added to it?
Yeah, because the wine changes the water into wine. It's mahapach the water into wine.
So
But that says in Shulchan Aruch, Ligaba Mei
Water
Peiros.
into cream cheese, it doesn't turn it into.
Doesn't turn cream cheese, right?
So when you dip your pyre, do you dip your matzah or your mar?
Tip your motor.
And then you put it in the matzah.
And we shake it up. Don't shake it up. Right? You can't use wine and water. You can't use wine to make it.
What about this cheese in general? Like there's certain butters that don't have to. Certain butters that sell kosher for Pesach, but it doesn't have to be kosher for Pesach. Let's say it's automatic. Does that apply to a lot of cheese? Cheese in general. My wife has no feta cheese. Trader Joe's has a cholesterol feta cheese that they sell.
The minig is, the Ramus says that a minig was not to eat any food unless it was processed l'shem Pesach.
So that's why people have Yiddish companies, because they're the only ones that process it.
No, it's not true. The OK checks it. The OU also makes sure when they process it that it shouldn't be a problem. 99.9% of the time, there's never a problem with chometz. The reason is because the companies are clean, not because they're worried about chometz. They're worried about their own money. I always say that because they could be sued in Babam's Babam. There's a guy 4 years ago, they found salmonella in his peanut company. So besides that, his whole company, he lost $200 million. He was just recently indicted for manslaughter because 4 people died from the salmonella. Most companies, what? It's once the eggs and once with the peanut butter. The eggs also lost because the Ralphs, the whole California, most companies, there always going to be interesting people. There's always someone. The rule in life is there's no thing that makes it foolproof. To Adam, you could hire 2 false Adam to testify. Guy is B'chal Shabbos. There's no foolproof. You could have a mishgiach, and there's nothing in this world foolproof. But there's a din in Shulchan Aruch, and there's usually credible mercies. It works. So they anyways make sure it's very easy today to process food l'shem Pesach because they don't have in the company. If they do, they wouldn't say OUP. It's not sugar. I lived in Williamsburg. We used to go to Domino's Sugar. Sugar. You know what you have to worry about sugar? Shall I tell you a big secret? The rats.
It's not New York. I don't have to worry about that.
No, it comes on the boat. They bring it from they used to bring it from yeah, I'm just saying. So the company it was very bad. They had special people over there how to get rid of the rats before it gets into the machines. And very often.
By the way, there's a certain percentage of rats that's allowed in the food.
Yes.
When you eat
That's
food
what happens with
processed,
wine also. People, wine, they top everything, snakes, rats, everything. They grab the whole vine, they put
But that rises to the top. Wine isn't the sun. The Gemara Chazal say wine, the dirt raises to the top. Do you know that? It's very interessant to say.
So in regards to the made pears, if you add water to your glass of orange juice, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, orange juice is made from concentrate.
Let's say fresh orange, unless you took a machine and you made
Not
fresh
from
orange
concentrate.
juice. If you added a little bit of water, wouldn't it be applied to the wine thing you mentioned earlier? That
No,
becomes
not
fine?
only wine has that koich, not good. Not.
And even that, isn't there like a threshold of how
No.
high a-
No.
Because you can't add, for kiddush l'mashal, if you have half a vessel, you can't add wine and make kiddush on that, or water to your half a vessel.
Well, depends what type of a wine. Depends how heavy the wine is. That's it's. They put water into wine, anyways.
Didn't the Rav
It's
say
like mayonnaise.
there's chametz in our matzah?
Every matzah has chametz in it. You know what the biggest problem to eat? The biggest problem is chametz. Is your matzah. And the Shulchan Aruch says very clearly, it's impossible to have not chametz. The reason we eat became bottled before Pesach. And that's that's why we don't make matzahs on Pesach.
There was a chassid who would only eat 6 matzahs the entire Pesach. He burnt them black crisp and wouldn't wash any other time.
That's okay. But that's not what the Torah meant. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do that.
Yeah, he meant for us to have soft matzahs.
But the truth is, the Klal Yisrael ate soft matzahs till the Ashkenazim introduced the chumrah about 1,000 years ago, and then the Sfarad and Kapi does. There's Ashkenaz.
Undo that chumrah with
Yes.
soft matzahs.
Can we undo that one?
No. Okay, the way said. Yes.
Thank you. That's a good comment.